I was standing in the apartment I'd paid rent on for 6 years while working myself to the end at 3 different jobs, watching my fiancée Patricia pack her designer bags and expensive shoes into boxes labeled with her new law firm's logo, when she turned to me with that pitying smile I'd come to recognize as contempt and said the words that should have destroyed me. "I need someone on my level now, Otto. You understand, right?" But what she didn't understand, what she couldn't possibly have known as she walked out of my life with her $70,000 starting salary and her custom-tailored suits I'd paid for with money earned scrubbing floors at midnight, was that 3 days later I'd meet an elderly woman who would gasp at my name tag and ask if I was Maria's son. And that single question would unravel a truth so devastating and so powerful it would give me the tools to watch Patricia's perfect new life collapse like a house of cards built on quicksand. "Otto, say something," Patricia said, folding another blouse, the silk one I'd bought her last Christmas with money from my third paycheck of the month. "I know this is hard for you, but we both knew this was coming." "We both knew?" My voice sounded hollow. "I didn't know. I thought we were getting married. I thought the whole point of me working 3 jobs for 6 years was so you could focus on school and we could build a life together. And I appreciate that. I really do. But Danny, be realistic. I'm going to be a corporate attorney at Miller & Associates. I'll be making 6 figures. I'll be working with senators and CEOs. You deliver pizzas. I deliver pizzas at night. During the day, I work warehouse inventory. And on weekends, I do landscaping. That's $4,500 a month that kept you fed and housed while you studied." Past tense, kept. Because that part of my life is over now. She zipped up a suitcase. I need to be with someone who can match my ambition, someone who understands the world I'm entering. You're a good person, Danny, but you're not... Not what? Not good enough? Not educated enough? Not worth your time anymore? Not on my level. She said it simply, like it was an obvious fact. Like the 6 years I'd spent supporting her dreams meant nothing now that those dreams had come true. I looked around the apartment. The furniture I'd bought piece by piece from thrift stores. The textbooks I'd purchased for her. $800 per semester, sometimes more. The laptop I'd saved for over 4 months to buy her. The dinners I'd cooked while she studied. The rent I'd paid in full every month while she contributed nothing because law school is my job right now. "Where are you going?" I asked. "I have an apartment downtown, near the firm. It's a loft. Very modern. You'd hate it." "How long have you had it?" "I signed the lease 2 weeks ago." 2 weeks. She'd been planning this for at least 2 weeks. Probably longer. Had probably been planning it since she got her bar results, maybe even before. "Did you ever love me?" The question came out before I could stop it. She paused, her hand on a box. For a moment, I thought she might be honest. Then she smiled that pitying smile again. "I loved who you were for me, someone who made law school possible. But Danny, I'm not the girl who needed that anymore. I'm a lawyer now. I need a partner, not a provider of basic necessities. I was both. I was your partner, and I provided for you. You provided financial support. That's not the same as being an equal partner in life. I need someone who challenges me intellectually, someone who can discuss constitutional law over dinner, someone who belongs in the world I'm entering." She picked up the last box and headed for the door. I didn't try to stop her. What was the point? At the door, she turned back. "I'm leaving the ring on the counter. You can probably get a few $100s for it if you return it. That should help with rent for a month or 2. The ring I'd saved 8 months to buy. The ring I'd proposed with on the beach at sunset after working a double shift at the warehouse and a 4-hour pizza delivery route. The ring she'd posted on social media with the caption, "He finally did it," and about 50 heart emojis. She left. The door closed. I stood in the suddenly too quiet apartment and felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not anything. Just a vast emptiness where the last 6 years of my life had been. I sat down on the couch I'd bought for $75 and reupholstered myself using YouTube tutorials. Looked at the ring on the counter, a single diamond, half a carat, set in white gold. It had cost me $3,200, which was 2 months of working 3 jobs, of surviving on ramen and peanut butter sandwiches, of walking to work to save gas money. My phone buzzed, a text from Patricia. "Please don't make this harder than it needs to be. You'll find someone more suited to your lifestyle. I'm sure of it. My lifestyle. Like I'd chosen to work 3 jobs. Like I'd chosen to sacrifice everything for her dreams." I threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall and the screen cracked. Perfect. That would be another $200. I didn't have to fix it. I was 31 years old. I'd been with Patricia since I was 25. 6 years of my life invested in someone who saw me as a stepping stone. 6 years of working myself to exhaustion while she studied and socialized and built the career that would eventually take her away from me. And now I had nothing. No fiancé, no savings. I'd spent everything supporting her. No prospects of anything better because I'd been so focused on her needs, I'd neglected my own education, my own career development, my own future. I picked up the ring and looked at it, watched the light catch the diamond, thought about throwing it out the window. Instead, I put it in my pocket. Patricia was right about one thing. I could probably get a few $100s for it, and I'd need every penny now that I was paying rent alone. The apartment was $1,200 a month. My warehouse job paid $1,600 after taxes. The pizza delivery brought in about $800 a month with tips. The weekend landscaping added another $1,000. Total income, $3,400. Minus rent, utilities, food, gas, insurance, I'd be lucky to break even each month. This was my life now, alone, broke, and working myself to the end with nothing to show for it. I went to bed that night in the apartment that felt too big without Patricia's presence, even though her presence had been mostly her telling me to be quiet while she studied. I lay there staring at the ceiling and thought about all the choices that had led me here. Meeting Patricia at a community barbecue 6 years ago. Her smile, her ambition, her dreams of becoming a lawyer and helping people. How she'd talked about changing the world, and I'd believed her. How she'd said she wanted someone who supported her dreams, and I'd said I could be that person. How I'd rearranged my entire life around her schedule, her needs, her goals, and how she'd walked away the moment she didn't need me anymore. I fell asleep around 3 a.m. and woke up at 6 for my warehouse shift, dragged myself through 8 hours of lifting boxes and scanning inventory, came home, changed into my pizza delivery uniform, worked until midnight, came home, collapsed into bed. This went on for 3 days. Work, sleep, work, sleep. No Patricia to cook for, no Patricia to talk to, no Patricia to share my day with, even though she'd usually been too busy studying to really listen. Just me, alone, working 3 jobs for no reason anymore. On the 4th day after Patricia left, I was doing my pizza delivery route. It was a Thursday night, raining, the kind of cold November rain that soaks through your jacket and makes you miserable. I had 12 deliveries scheduled all over town, and I was running late because the first 3 customers had all paid with large bills, and I'd had to wait for change. The 11th delivery was to an address on Maple Street, a quiet residential area with old houses and big trees, the kind of neighborhood I'd never be able to afford to live in. I pulled up to a small cottage with a well-maintained garden and checked the order. 1 small cheese pizza, 1 order of breadsticks, total $23.50. I grabbed the food and ran through the rain to the front door. Rang the bell. Waited. An elderly woman answered. She was maybe 75, with white hair and kind eyes. She looked at me, then at my name tag, Otto Torres, printed clearly on the red uniform shirt. Her face went pale. She grabbed the door frame to steady herself. "Are you all right?" I asked. Your name is Otto Torres." Her voice was shaking. "Yes, ma'am. I have your pizza here." "Are you Maria's son?" She was staring at me like she'd seen a ghost. I froze. "Maria? How do you know that name?" "Maria Torres. She was... Are you her son?" The woman's eyes were filling with tears. "My mother's name was Maria, but she died before I was born. I never knew her." The woman started crying, actually crying, tears running down her face. Oh my God, it's really you. I can't believe you look just like her. The eyes, the chin, even the way you stand." She grabbed my arm. "Come inside, please. I have something of hers, something I've been holding for 35 years. Ma'am, I need to finish my deliveries. Please, this is important. You need to see this. Your mother would want you to see this." There was something in her voice, some urgency that made me hesitate. I looked back at my car, at the 3 remaining pizzas in the warming bag, then at this elderly woman who was crying and saying she had something of my mother's. "I can give you 10 minutes, I said. She practically pulled me inside. The house was warm and smelled like lavender. Photos covered every surface. Family photos, vacation photos, photos of people I didn't recognize. "Sit," she said, gesturing to a floral couch. "Please sit. I need to get something from upstairs." She disappeared up a narrow staircase. I sat awkwardly on the couch, still holding the pizza and breadsticks, wondering what I'd gotten myself into, my mother, Maria Flores. I knew almost nothing about her. My father, Robert Flores, had told me she'd died in a car accident when she was 8 months pregnant with me. The doctors had managed to save me, but not her. My father had raised me alone until he died of a heart attack when I was 19. He'd never talked much about my mother, Said it was too painful, that she'd been the love of his life, and losing her had nearly destroyed him. I'd never pressed for details. Had accepted that my mother was a ghost, someone I'd never know. The woman came back down the stairs carrying a large manila envelope and a shoebox. Her hands were shaking. "My name is Dorothy Bennett," she said, sitting in a chair across from me. "I was your mother's best friend. We grew up together, went to college together, were going to be in each other's weddings." She wiped her eyes. "I loved Maria like a sister. When she died, part of me died with her." "I'm sorry for your loss," I said automatically. "I've thought about you every day for 35 years. Wondered where you were, what you looked like, if you were happy." She opened the shoebox. "Your mother left these with me 2 weeks before she died. She had a feeling something was wrong. Said she'd been having nightmares about the baby, about something bad happening. I told her it was just pregnancy anxiety, but she insisted I take these and keep them safe. Made me promise that if anything happened to her, I'd find you and give them to you when you turned 30. "I'm 31? I've been looking for you for over a year, but you weren't easy to find. Your father moved after Maria died, changed your last name from Flores to Flores, I think to escape the memories. I hired a private investigator 6 months ago. He found you 3 weeks ago, but I was waiting for the right moment." She smiled through her tears. "And here you are, delivering pizza to my door. Maybe Maria sent you to me." "What's in the box?" I asked, my heart pounding. Dorothy opened it and pulled out a stack of letters tied with a ribbon. "Letters from your mother to you. She wrote you one every week of her pregnancy talking about her hopes for you, her dreams for your future, advice she wanted to give you. She handed them to me. And there's more." She opened the manila envelope and pulled out several documents. Bank statements, property deeds, investment records. "Your mother was brilliant with money," Dorothy said. "Her parents died when she was 20 and left her a small inheritance, about $50,000. She invested it carefully, bought a rental property, and by the time she met your father, she'd turned that $50,000 into nearly $300,000. She never told him, said she wanted to make sure you had something, no matter what happened to her." My hands were shaking as I took the documents. $300,000? "That was in 1989. She put it all in a trust for you, with me as the trustee. She made me promise to invest it conservatively and give it to you when you turned 30. Dorothy pulled out more papers. "I've been managing it for 35 years. Real estate, index funds, bonds. The market has been very good to us." She handed me a current statement. I looked at the number at the bottom. $4,700,000. I couldn't breathe. "This can't be real." "It's real. Your mother made sure you'd be taken care of, and I made sure I honored her wishes." Dorothy smiled. "There's more. The rental property she bought in 1987? It's worth about $900,000 now, fully paid off. The trust owns it, which means you own it." I stared at the papers in my hands, at the letters from a mother I'd never met, at the bank statements showing millions of dollars, at the property deed for a building I'd never seen. "Why didn't anyone tell me about this?" I whispered. "Your father didn't know. Maria never told him. She wanted this to be separate, protected, just for you. And the trust was ironclad. I couldn't release any information until you turned 30. I tried to find you on your birthday last year, but like I said, you disappeared into a different name, a different city. It took time." "I've been working 3 jobs, I said, my voice breaking. "For 6 years, to support my fiancée through law school. She just left me. Said I wasn't on her level." Dorothy's expression hardened. "What's her name?" "Patricia Walsh." "Why?" "Patricia Walsh, who just passed the bar and started at Miller & Associates." "How did you know that?" "Because Miller & Associates is the firm that manages the trust. I've been working with them for 35 years. Dorothy stood up and walked to a filing cabinet, pulled out more papers. "And guess who's been assigned as the new associate on your trust account?" She handed me a letter. "From Miller & Associates. Regarding the trust. Signed by Patricia Walsh." I looked at Dorothy. She looked at me. "Your fiancé is about to discover that the man she just dumped is worth over $5 million, Dorothy said, and that she's been assigned to manage his account." For the first time in 4 days, I smiled. I sat in Dorothy's living room for 2 hours after my pizza delivery shift should have ended, reading my mother's letters and trying to process the fact that my entire life had just changed. The pizzas in my car were probably cold by now, but I couldn't bring myself to care. In my hands were words from a woman who died giving birth to me, words I'd never imagined I'd be able to read. "Dear baby," the first letter began. "I'm writing this because I need you to know you were wanted. So wanted. Your father and I tried for 2 years before you finally came to us. When I saw that positive pregnancy test, I cried for an hour. Happy tears. The best tears of my life. I had to stop reading because my eyes were blurring with tears of my own. Dorothy sat across from me quietly, letting me process. When I finally looked up, she handed me a tissue. She loved you before she ever met you, Dorothy said. Every day she'd talk about you, what you'd look like, what kind of person you'd become. She was so excited to be your mother. My father told me she died in a car accident. That's what everyone was told. But Otto, that's not what happened. Dorothy's voice dropped. Your mother died during an emergency C-section. There were complications. She hemorrhaged. The doctor saved you, but couldn't save her. Your father was devastated. He blamed himself, even though it wasn't his fault. He couldn't handle living in the same town where he'd lost her, so he moved. Changed your last name slightly. Started over. I don't think he was trying to hide you. I think he was trying to survive his grief. Why didn't he tell me about the trust? He didn't know about it. Maria set it up without telling him. She came to me when she was 6 months pregnant and said she had a feeling something was wrong. She wanted to make sure you'd be provided for no matter what happened. I thought she was being paranoid, but I helped her anyway. We set up the trust, transferred all her assets into it, and I became the trustee. She made me promise not to tell anyone, especially not Robert. Said she wanted this to be her secret gift to you. I looked at the bank statements again. The numbers seemed impossible. How did $50,000 become almost $5 million? Time and smart investing. Your mother bought a small apartment building in 1987 for $90,000, used her inheritance and a small mortgage. She rented out the units and paid off the mortgage in 10 years. By the time she died, the building was worth about $200,000. I kept managing it after she died, using the rental income to pay property taxes and maintenance while the rest went into the trust. The building's worth about $900,000 now. It's in a neighborhood that's gentrified significantly over the past 3 decades. And the other $4 million? Index funds mostly. Your mother put $200,000 into the market in 1988. I've been managing it conservatively, mostly S&P 500 index funds with some bonds for stability. With reinvested dividends and compound growth over 35 years, that $200,000 has become about $3.8 million. Add in the property value and the rental income that's been accumulating, and you're looking at about $5.7 million total once we factor in everything. My head was spinning. I'd been eating ramen noodles for dinner so Patricia could have the money for bar prep courses, and the entire time I'd had millions of dollars sitting in a trust I didn't know existed. The trust terms were specific, Dorothy continued. I couldn't release any information until you turned 30. I couldn't contact you, couldn't tell you about it, couldn't do anything except manage the assets and wait. On your 30th birthday last year, I started looking for you. It took me a year to find you. You'd moved several times, changed your contact information, made yourself hard to track. I finally found you 3 months ago, and I've been watching you since then, trying to figure out the right way to approach you. Watching me? I needed to know what kind of person you'd become. Your mother trusted me to do right by you, and I wanted to make sure I was giving this inheritance to someone who'd honor her memory. So yes, I watched. I saw you working 3 jobs, saw you supporting that woman through law school, saw you sacrificing everything for someone who clearly didn't appreciate it. Her expression hardened. And when she left you 4 days ago, I knew it was time. I was going to contact you this week, and then you showed up at my door. Delivering pizza. Like Maria was guiding you to me. Dorothy smiled. She always said coincidences were just God's way of staying anonymous. I set down the letters carefully, like they might disintegrate if I handled them wrong. What happens now? Now we transfer the trust assets to your name. You're 31, well past the trigger age. I'll contact the firm, Miller & Associates, and arrange for the transfer. They'll handle all the paperwork. As the trustee, I'll sign off on everything and you'll take full control of the assets. And Patricia will know. She's the associate assigned to my account. Oh, she'll know. She'll see every document, every asset transfer, every dollar. Dorothy's smile was sharp. Tell me about her. Tell me what she did to you. So I did. Told Dorothy everything. How I'd met Patricia at that barbecue 6 years ago. How she'd been working as a paralegal and dreaming of law school but couldn't afford it. How I'd offered to help, thinking we'd build a life together. How I'd taken on the night shift pizza delivery job to supplement my warehouse income. How I'd added the weekend landscaping job when Patricia needed money for bar prep courses. How I'd bought her the engagement ring by working double shifts for 2 months. How she'd said yes with tears in her eyes and promises of forever. How she'd passed the bar exam 3 weeks ago and immediately started pulling away. How she'd signed a lease on a new apartment without telling me. How she'd packed her bags and told me I wasn't on her level anymore. She said she needs someone who can match her ambition, I said. Yeah, someone who understands the world she's entering. Said I'm a good person, but I'm not good enough for her new life. Dorothy's face had gone from sympathetic to furious as I talked. That ungrateful little... She stopped herself. I'm sorry. But Otto, you sacrificed 6 years of your life for this woman. You put her dreams ahead of your own. You worked yourself to exhaustion so she could succeed, and the moment she got what she wanted, she threw you away like garbage. That's about the size of it. Well, Dorothy stood up and walked to her phone. Let's make sure she understands exactly what she threw away. What are you doing? Calling Miller & Associates. I'm going to request an emergency meeting tomorrow to transfer the trust assets, and I'm going to specifically request that Patricia Walsh be present as the assigned associate on your account. She smiled. We're going to hand her the case file and watch her face when she realizes who you are and what you're worth. Is that revenge? I asked, because it feels like revenge. It's not revenge, dear. It's justice. She needs to understand the consequences of her choices. She needs to see what she lost. And honestly, this is mild compared to what your mother would have done to her. Dorothy made the call, spoke to someone at the firm, and explained that she needed to transfer trust assets to the beneficiary and wanted to do it as soon as possible. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Yes, Patricia Walsh should be there since she's the assigned associate. Yes, this is time sensitive. Thank you. She hung up and turned to me. It's done. Tomorrow morning at 10, we meet with the firm. They'll prepare all the transfer documents. And Patricia will be sitting across from you while you become a multimillionaire. I should have felt good about it. Should have felt vindicated. But mostly I just felt tired. I need to get back to work, I said, standing up. I still have deliveries to make. No, you don't. Dorothy took the pizza bag from me. You're done with that. You're done with all of it. The warehouse, the deliveries, the landscaping. You don't need to work 3 jobs anymore. You don't need to work any jobs if you don't want to. I can't just quit. Yes, you can. Otto, you're worth over $5 million. You can do whatever you want with your life now. You can go to school, you can travel, you can start a business, you can sit on a beach for a year if that's what you want. The money your mother left you is meant to give you freedom. So be free. I looked at the letters on the coffee table, at the trust documents, at the evidence of a mother's love that had transcended end and time. I need to think about this, I said. Of course, take the documents, read the letters, process everything. But Otto, promise me you'll come to the meeting tomorrow. I'll be there. Good. 10 a.m. The firm is downtown on 5th Street. Ask for Paul Miller. He's the senior partner and he's handled your trust since your mother set it up. I gathered all the papers and letters carefully, putting them in the pizza bag since I didn't have anything else to carry them in. Dorothy walked me to the door. Your mother would be so proud of you, she said. The man you became, the choices you made, the heart you showed. She'd be furious at that woman for what she did to you, but she'd be proud of how you handled it with dignity. I don't feel very dignified right now. That's because you're hurt, but hurt fades. And when it does, you'll realize that Patricia Walsh did you a favor. She showed you who she really is before you married her, before you had kids with her, before you wasted any more of your life on someone who doesn't deserve you. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Drove back to the pizza place and told my manager I'd had a family emergency and had to abandon the rest of my route. He was angry until I quit on the spot. Then he was just confused. Drove home to my empty apartment. Spread all the documents out on the kitchen table. Read my mother's letters one by one, tears streaming down my face as I learned about the woman who died giving birth to me. She'd been funny, sarcastic, smart. She'd loved old movies and terrible puns. She'd been terrified of becoming a mother, but excited too. She'd written about all the things she wanted to teach me, all the places she wanted to take me, all the dreams she had for my future. I hope you're kind, one letter said. That's all I really hope for you, that you're kind and happy. Everything else is just details. I tried to be kind, had spent 6 years being kind to Patricia, supporting her dreams, putting her needs first, and she'd thrown it back in my face the moment it stopped benefiting her. Maybe kindness was overrated. I fell asleep on the couch surrounded by papers and woke up at 9 a.m. with a sore neck and determination burning in my chest. Today was the day. Today Patricia would find out exactly what she'd walked away from. I showered, dressed in the best clothes I owned, khakis and a button-down shirt, nothing fancy but clean, and drove downtown to Miller & Associates. The firm occupied the top 3 floors of a glass office building. The lobby was all marble and expensive art. The receptionist looked at me like I was lost. Can I help you? I have a 10 a.m. meeting with Paul Miller. Otto Flores. She checked her computer, her expression shifting from dismissive to professional. Of course, Mr. Flores. Please have a seat. Someone will be with you shortly. I sat in a leather chair that probably cost more than my car and waited. At exactly 10 a.m., a woman in a tailored suit approached. Mr. Flores, I'm Christine Park, Paul Miller's assistant. He's ready for you. Please follow me. She led me to a conference room on the top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. A massive oak table dominated the space. And sitting at that table were 3 people. An older man in an expensive suit who had to be Paul Miller, Dorothy Bennett, and Patricia Walsh. Patricia's face when she saw me was worth every terrible moment of the past 4 days. The color drained from Patricia's face so fast I thought she might faint. She half stood from her chair, mouth opening and closing like a fish drowning in air, and for 3 perfect seconds she was completely speechless while I stood in the doorway of the conference room in my cheap khakis and Walmart button-down shirt, watching her entire reality shift beneath her feet like a rug being pulled out from under someone who'd been standing on it thinking they owned the floor. "Otto," her voice came out as a squeak, "what are you doing here?" Paul Miller stood and extended his hand. "Mr. Flores, thank you for coming. I'm Paul Miller, senior partner. We've been managing your trust for 35 years, and I'm honored to finally meet you." I shook his hand, keeping my eyes on Patricia. "Thank you for seeing me on such short notice." "Not at all. Dorothy explained the situation, and we're prepared to execute the transfer today if you're comfortable with the terms." He gestured to the chair across from Patricia. "Please, sit." I sat. Dorothy was already seated, looking pleased with herself. Patricia remained half standing, her face cycling through confusion, shock, and something that looked like dawning horror. "I don't understand," Patricia said, looking at Paul. "The Flores Trust? This is Otto Flores?" "That's correct. Do you know Mr. Flores?" He's my..." Patricia couldn't seem to form a complete sentence. She looked at me. "You have a trust? A $5 million trust?" "Apparently." I kept my voice neutral. "I found out yesterday." Paul pulled out a file folder thick with documents. "Mr. Flores, your mother Maria established this trust in 1989, shortly before your birth. She appointed Dorothy Bennett as trustee with instructions to manage the assets conservatively until you reached age 30, at which point the full trust would be transferred to your name. Mrs. Bennett has done an exceptional job. The trust has grown from its original value of approximately $300,000 to its current value of $5.7 million, including property holdings." "5.7, I corrected. Dorothy said it was 5.7. "That's correct. The latest valuation came in this morning. The rental property in the East District has appreciated more than we projected." Patricia sat down heavily. "You have $5.7 million. "Looks that way. And you didn't know? You never mentioned this. In 6 years, you never once mentioned having a trust fund." "Because I didn't know it existed. My mother set it up before she died, and the terms required the trustee to wait until I was 30 to tell me anything. Dorothy found me last year, but waited to make sure I was..." "What was it you said?" "Worthy of your mother's trust," Dorothy said firmly. "I needed to know you'd honor her legacy and use the money wisely." "And you decided he was worthy of $5 million while he was delivering pizzas?" Patricia's voice was rising. "That doesn't make sense. Why would you wait until now?" "Because watching someone in hardship tells you more about their character than watching them in comfort," Dorothy said coldly. "I watched Otto work 3 jobs to support you through law school. Watched him sacrifice his own education and career to fund yours. Watched him propose with a ring that cost him 2 months of double shifts. And watched you leave him 4 days ago because he wasn't on your level. That's when I knew it was time to give him what his mother left him." Patricia turned to me. "You knew about this yesterday? When I called you about getting the deposit back on the apartment? When I texted you about returning the ring? You knew you had millions of dollars, and you didn't tell me? You'd already left me. You'd already told me I wasn't good enough for your new life. Why would I tell you anything?" "Because we were together for 6 years. Because I deserved to know. You deserved to know." My voice stayed level, but I could feel anger building beneath it. "You spent 6 years telling me what I deserved. I deserved to work 3 jobs. I deserved to skip meals so you could order takeout. I deserved to drive a falling-apart car while you drove the newer one. I deserved to put my dreams on hold indefinitely while yours came true. But the moment you passed the bar, suddenly I didn't deserve you anymore. So no, Patricia, you don't get to decide what you deserve to know about my life now that you're not part of it." Paul cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should focus on the business at hand. Mr. Flores, I have the transfer documents prepared. Once you sign, all trust assets will be moved to accounts in your sole name. The rental property deed will be transferred. You'll have complete control over everything." "Wait," Patricia said. "I'm the associate assigned to this account. I should review these documents first, make sure everything is proper." I've reviewed them, Dorothy said. They're proper. Your role here is simply to witness the transfer as the assigned associate, nothing more. But I should advise Mr. Flores on the tax implications. I'm sure Otto can find tax advice elsewhere, Dorothy said, from someone who has his best interests at heart. The jab landed. Patricia's face flushed red. Are you implying I don't have his best interests at heart? I'm stating that you walked away from him 4 days ago, told him he wasn't good enough for you, and are now suddenly very interested in his financial affairs. One might draw certain conclusions from that behavior. That's not fair. Fair? Dorothy's voice turned to ice. You want to talk about fair? This young man worked himself to exhaustion for 6 years supporting you. He put his entire life on hold so you could achieve your dreams. And the moment you didn't need him anymore, you discarded him like trash. Now you sit here acting surprised that he has resources you didn't know about, as if you were entitled to know everything about him when you made it clear you think he's beneath you. So no, Patricia, I don't think you get to lecture anyone about what's fair. The silence that followed was deafening. Paul looked uncomfortable. Patricia looked like she'd been slapped. I looked at Dorothy with newfound respect. This 75-year-old woman had just eviscerated a lawyer in her own conference room. The documents, I said to Paul. Let's proceed. He pushed the paperwork across the table, explained each section, the trust termination, the asset transfers, the tax reporting requirements. It took 45 minutes to go through everything. Patricia sat rigid in her chair, her face unreadable, watching as her ex-fiancé signed papers that made him a multimillionaire. When the last signature was complete, Paul smiled. Congratulations, Mr. Flores. You're now the sole owner of assets valued at $5.7 million. The property management company will continue handling your rental building unless you want to make changes. The investment accounts will remain at our partner brokerage unless you want to move them, and of course, you're welcome to retain this firm for any legal services you might need in the future. Thank you. I stood and shook his hand, then Dorothy's. Carefully avoided looking at Patricia. Mr. Flores, Paul said, would you like to discuss next steps? Estate planning, perhaps? Setting up your own trusts or investment structures? I'd like to think about it for a few days. Process everything. Of course. Christine will give you my direct line on your way out. Please don't hesitate to call with any questions. I nodded and turned to leave. Made it 2 steps before Patricia's voice stopped me. Otto, wait. Can we talk, please? I turned. She was standing now, her professional mask cracking to show something that might have been regret or might have been calculation. I couldn't tell anymore. About what? About us. About what this means. This doesn't mean anything about us. There is no us. You made that clear 4 days ago. I made a mistake. I was overwhelmed with the bar results and the new job. I wasn't thinking clearly, but Otto, we spent 6 years together. That has to mean something. It meant something to me. Past tense. It obviously didn't mean the same thing to you. That's not true. You told me I wasn't on your level. You said you needed someone who matched your ambition, someone who belonged in your new world, someone who wasn't me. I paused. What changed, Patricia? Did I suddenly get smarter, more educated, more worthy of your time? Or did I just get rich enough that you can overlook all the flaws you found so unacceptable 4 days ago? She flinched. That's not fair. Stop saying that. You don't get to decide what's fair anymore. Otto, please. I know I hurt you. I know I said things I shouldn't have said. But we can fix this. We can work through it. I still care about you. Do you? Or do you care about the $5.7 million? That's a horrible thing to say. Is it? Because from where I'm standing, you had zero interest in working through anything until you found out I was wealthy. You packed your bags, left me, told me I'd never recover from losing you, and now you want to talk about us? No, Patricia, there's nothing to talk about. I love you. She said it desperately. I know I didn't show it well these past few weeks, but I do love you. You love the idea of being with someone who has money? That's not the same thing. How can you say that? After everything we've been through? Everything we've been through? My voice finally rose. Let me tell you what we've been through. I went through 6 years of working 3 jobs so you could study. I went through 2 years of eating ramen and peanut butter sandwiches so you could order takeout. I went through months of walking to work so you could have the working car. I went through the humiliation of wearing the same clothes over and over because I couldn't afford new ones while you needed professional outfits for internships and networking events. I went through all of that believing we were building a life together, and then you went through exactly 1 day of not needing me anymore before you decided I wasn't good enough. So no, Patricia, I can't say I'm interested in going through anything else with you. Her eyes were wet. Real tears or fake ones, I didn't know and didn't care. Otto, go build your career. Find someone on your level. Enjoy your loft apartment and your six-figure salary, but do it without me." I walked out of the conference room. Dorothy followed, leaving Patricia standing there alone. In the elevator, Dorothy squeezed my hand. "You did well. I feel sick. That's normal. You've just closed a major chapter of your life. It's supposed to hurt." She said she loved me. She loved what you could do for her. First it was financial support. Now it would be financial security. But Otto, that's not love. That's convenience. The elevator doors opened and we walked through the lobby. Outside on the street, the November sun was trying to break through clouds. Normal people were going about their normal days, not knowing that my entire life had just transformed. "What do I do now?" I asked. "Whatever you want. That's the point of financial freedom. You get to choose your life instead of having it dictated by necessity." "I don't know what I want." "That's okay too. You have time to figure it out." Dorothy smiled. "But Otto, can I give you one piece of advice?" "Please. Don't make any major decisions for at least 6 months. Don't quit jobs you haven't already quit. Don't move. Don't start businesses. Don't make investments beyond what's already established. You need time to process this new reality. Time to grieve the relationship you lost and celebrate the future you gained. Time to read your mother's letters and understand what she wanted for you. Give yourself that time." 6 months of doing nothing? 6 months of being, not doing. There's a difference. She handed me a business card. "This is my personal number. Call me anytime, day or night. You're not just my client, Otto. You're Maria's son, which makes you family. And family takes care of family." I hugged her, this woman who'd protected my mother's legacy for 35 years and delivered it to me exactly when I needed it most. Drove back to my apartment in a daze. Sat on the couch I'd reupholstered and looked at my phone. 3 missed calls from Patricia, 2 voicemails, 5 texts. I deleted all of them without reading or listening. Then I picked up my mother's letters and started reading them again, slower this time, absorbing not just the words, but the spirit behind them. The love of a mother for a child she'd never meet. The hope she'd had for my future. The provision she'd made to ensure I'd be cared for. "I hope you're happy," one letter said. "I hope you find someone who loves you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. I hope you know your worth. I hope you never settle for less than you deserve." I looked at the engagement ring still sitting on my kitchen counter. The ring Patricia had left behind because I wasn't worthy of her anymore. Tomorrow I'd take it back to the jeweler and get whatever refund I could. It wouldn't be much. Used engagement rings lost value fast. But that was okay. I didn't need the money anymore. The first thing I did with my new wealth was absolutely nothing, which turned out to be harder than it sounded. For 6 years, my life had been scheduled down to the minute. Warehouse shift from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., sleep for 3 hours, pizza delivery from 6 p.m. to midnight, sleep for 5 hours, repeat. Weekends were landscaping jobs from 7 a.m. until dark, then collapse. There was never time to think, never time to breathe, never time to just exist without purpose. Now I had nothing but time, and it was terrifying. I quit the warehouse job properly, giving 2 weeks' notice because they'd been decent to me even if the work was brutal. My supervisor looked at me like I was crazy when I said I wouldn't be taking the promotion he'd been promising me for a year. "You sure, Flores? Assistant shift supervisor comes with a $4 an hour raise. Benefits. Overtime opportunities." "I'm sure, but thank you for the offer." "What are you going to do instead?" "I don't know yet. Figure things out." He shrugged. "Your funeral. But if you change your mind in the next few months, come talk to me. You're a good worker. We'd take you back." I worked those 2 weeks in a fog, going through motions I'd perfected over 6 years while my mind spun with possibilities. I could go to school, could learn something I'd always been interested in but never had time for, could travel, could start a business, could do literally anything. The paralysis of infinite choices. On my last day at the warehouse, I cleaned out my locker and found things I'd forgotten I owned. A picture of Patricia and me from 3 years ago at a company picnic, both of us smiling, back when she still looked at me with something like affection. An acceptance letter to community college from 5 years ago that I'd never followed up on because Patricia needed money for law school textbooks. A birthday card from my father that I'd kept for sentimental reasons, even though he'd been dead for 12 years. I threw away the picture, kept the letter and the card. Patricia called me 6 times during those 2 weeks. Left voicemails that started angry and progressed to pleading. "Otto, you're being childish. We need to talk about this like adults." "I can't believe you're treating me this way after everything I did for you. Yes, I made mistakes, but don't I deserve a chance to make it right?" "I saw a lawyer. He says I might have a claim to your trust fund since we were engaged when you inherited it. I don't want to go that route, but you're forcing my hand. Please call me back. I miss you. I miss us. I deleted each voicemail after listening to it once. The legal threat was interesting. She was probably bluffing, but I mentioned it to Dorothy just in case. She has no claim, Dorothy said firmly. The trust was established before you even met her. The assets transferred to you after she'd already left you, and you weren't married, so there's no community property issue. She's just trying to scare you into talking to her. Should I get a lawyer? Only if she actually files something. Right now she's fishing. Don't take the bait. So I didn't. Eventually the calls stopped. My last paycheck from the warehouse was deposited into my account, $600 for the final 2 weeks. I looked at it and laughed. A month ago, that $600 would have been vital to my survival. Now it was a rounding error compared to the $5.7 million in my trust accounts. I spent the next 3 weeks doing what Dorothy had suggested, being, not doing. I slept whenever I was tired, ate actual meals instead of whatever was cheapest, took walks without purpose, read books I'd been meaning to read for years, watched the sun set from my apartment window without worrying about what job I needed to be at next. It was deeply uncomfortable and strangely healing. I also spent hours reading my mother's letters. There were 36 of them total, one for each week of her pregnancy. Some were short, just a paragraph or two. Others were pages long, full of stories about her life, advice for mine, dreams for our future together. Week 27, one letter read. You're kicking up a storm today. The doctor says you're healthy and strong. Your father put his hand on my belly and you kicked right where he was touching and he started crying. He's going to be such a good dad. He's already reading parenting books and baby-proofing the apartment even though you won't be here for 3 more months. I'm so lucky to have found him. My father, who'd raised me alone after she died, who'd worked 2 jobs himself to keep us fed and housed, who'd never remarried, never even dated, as far as I knew, because losing my mother had broken something in him that never quite healed. He died when I was 19, heart attack at 47. By that time, I was working full-time at the warehouse and had just started dating Patricia. He'd met her once, said she seemed nice but ambitious, and had warned me not to lose myself trying to keep up with someone who was always reaching for the next rung on the ladder. I hadn't understood what he meant at the time. I did now. In week 32 of pregnancy, my mother wrote, I've been having nightmares. Nothing specific, just a feeling that something's wrong. Your father says it's normal pregnancy anxiety, and maybe it is. But I can't shake the feeling that I won't get to meet you, that something's going to happen to me. So I'm writing this letter just in case. If I don't make it, if something goes wrong, I need you to know that I loved you. I love you right now, as I'm writing this. I'll love you when you're born. I'll love you forever, even if I'm not there to show it. You are wanted, you are precious, you are enough, exactly as you are. Don't let anyone tell you differently. I cried reading that letter, cried for the mother I'd never known, cried for the father who'd loved her so much he couldn't bear to talk about her, cried for the 25-year-old version of myself who'd met Patricia and thought he'd found someone who'd love him the way my parents had loved each other. My phone rang. Dorothy. How are you holding up? She asked. I'm okay. Reading Mom's letters, trying to figure out what to do with my life. Have you thought about going back to school? Maybe. I don't know what I'd study. What did you want to study before Patricia? The question stopped me. Before Patricia. Had there been a before Patricia? I'd been 25 when we met, working at the warehouse, taking community college classes at night in engineering, I said suddenly. I was taking engineering classes. I wanted to be a civil engineer, design bridges and roads and buildings. So do that now. I'm 31. That's too old to start a 4-year degree. Says who? Otto, you have the time and money to do whatever you want. If you want to spend 4 years getting an engineering degree, spend 4 years. You'll be 35 with a degree or 35 without one. Either way, you'll be 35. Might as well be 35 with a degree. She had a point. I'll think about it, I said. Do more than think. Research schools, talk to admissions counselors, make a plan. Your mother set up that trust so you could have opportunities. Don't waste them by being paralyzed with indecision. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and started researching engineering programs. Found several universities within 50 miles that had good programs. Checked admission requirements. Looked at tuition costs. Laughable now that I had millions in the bank. Started filling out an application before I could talk myself out of it. Then, the next morning, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Otto, it's Christine Park from Miller & Associates. Paul Miller asked me to call you. Is something wrong? Not wrong exactly. But we have a situation we need to discuss. Can you come to the office this afternoon? What kind of situation? It's regarding Patricia Walsh. She's filed a complaint with the firm, against you. My stomach dropped. A complaint about what? She's claiming harassment. Says you've been contacting her repeatedly, threatening her, making her feel unsafe. Mr. Miller wants to address this directly with you before it escalates. I haven't contacted her at all. She's the one who keeps calling me. That's what we need to discuss. Can you be here at 2? I'll be there. I hung up and immediately called Dorothy, told her what Christine had said. That manipulative little... Dorothy's voice was pure fury. She's trying to flip the narrative, make herself the victim. Classic legal strategy when you're caught looking bad. But I haven't done anything. I haven't called her, haven't texted her, haven't gone near her. Can you prove that? My phone records would show I haven't called her number. Good. Pull those records. Screenshot everything. We're going to that meeting prepared. At 2 p.m., I walked into Miller & Associates with printed phone records showing every call and text from the past month. Patricia had called me 47 times. I'd called her 0 times. She'd texted me 73 messages. I'd responded to exactly 1, telling her to stop contacting me. Paul Miller's office was intimidating. Dark wood, leather furniture, framed law degrees covering one wall. He gestured for me to sit. Mr. Flores, thank you for coming. I want to address this situation before it becomes a larger problem. I haven't done anything wrong. Ms. Walsh has submitted a formal complaint alleging that you've been harassing her since the trust transfer meeting. She says you've called her repeatedly, sent threatening messages, and shown up at her apartment. That's a lie, all of it. I handed him the phone records. These show every call and text from the past month. She's contacted me dozens of times. I've responded once, and I've never been to her apartment. I don't even know where she lives now. She moved without telling me, remember? Paul studied the records. His expression didn't change, but I saw something flicker in his eyes. This is quite different from what she described. It's the truth. She's been calling me constantly since she found out about the money. I've been ignoring her. Now she's apparently decided to accuse me of the exact behavior she's engaged in. Why would she do that? Because she's realizing she made a mistake leaving me and she's trying to force me into contact with her. Or because she's building a case that I'm unstable so she can try to claim some of the trust money. Or maybe just because she's angry that I moved on and she can't handle it. I don't know. I stopped trying to understand how Patricia thinks. Paul set down the records. Mr. Flores, I apologize. I should have investigated more thoroughly before calling you in, but I'm required to take harassment complaints seriously, especially when they involve employees of the firm. I understand, but I need you to understand that I'm not harassing anyone. I'm trying to live my life. She's the one who won't let go. I believe you, and I'll be speaking with Ms. Walsh about this. However, I need to ask, do you want to pursue this further? You'd have grounds for a restraining order based on these records. A restraining order. The irony was thick. Patricia had gotten one against me during the divorce, despite me never threatening her, and now I had legitimate grounds for one against her. No, I said. I just want her to leave me alone. If you can make that happen through whatever channels you have as her employer, that would be enough. I'll handle it. And Mr. Flores, I want you to know that this firm takes conflicts of interest very seriously. Ms. Walsh should have disclosed your prior relationship when she was assigned to your account. The fact that she didn't raise questions about her judgment. I'll be reviewing her cases and potentially reassigning some of them, including any future matters related to your trust. Thank you. Is there anything else you need from us? I thought about it. About Patricia working at this prestigious firm, building her career, living the life she ditched me to pursue. About her trying to drag me back into her orbit through false accusations. Actually, yes, I said. I'd like to set up a scholarship fund, through the trust, for students studying law who come from low-income backgrounds, something that helps people who couldn't otherwise afford law school. Paul's expression softened. That's very generous. What kind of amount are you thinking? Start with $100,000. Use the interest to fund scholarships annually. I want it managed through your firm so there's oversight, but I want the criteria to be clear. Students who are working multiple jobs to support themselves through school. Students who are sacrificing to chase their dreams, students who deserve the opportunity Patricia got from me but would actually appreciate it. I think we can arrange that. What would you like to call it? The Maria Flores Memorial Scholarship, after my mother. That's beautiful. I'll have the paperwork drawn up. I left the meeting feeling lighter than I had in weeks. The scholarship wouldn't change anything about my situation with Patricia, but it felt like the right thing to do with my mother's money. She'd wanted me to have opportunities. Now I could provide opportunities for others. That evening, Dorothy called. Paul told me about the meeting and the scholarship. Your mother would be proud. I hope so. Otto, there's something else. I've been contacted by an investigative journalist. She's writing a story about Patricia Walsh. My stomach clenched. What kind of story? The kind that might interest you. Can I give her your number? I don't want to talk to the press about Patricia. This isn't about your relationship. It's about her work. Apparently, you're not the first person she's climbed over on her way up. This journalist has been investigating her for months. Investigating her for what? Let her tell you, but Otto, I think you should hear what she has to say. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to be done with Patricia completely, but another part was curious. Okay, I said, give her my number. The journalist called 2 hours later. Her name was Rachel Kim, and she worked for the state's largest newspaper. Mr. Flores, thank you for agreeing to talk. I've been investigating Patricia Walsh's career trajectory, and I think you might have information relevant to my story. What kind of story? The kind that questions how someone passes the bar exam with the highest score in state history while holding down a job and supposedly studying alone. The kind that questions where she got the money for bar prep courses that cost $5,000 when she was working as a paralegal making $30,000 a year. The kind that questions why 3 other students from her study group failed the bar while she aced it. It made my hair stand on end. What are you saying? I'm saying I have evidence that Patricia Walsh cheated on the bar exam, and I'm saying I think you might be able to help me prove it.